What rabbit holes are you in on a regular basis? What has your undivided attention right now? What are you obsessed with figuring out? Picture it. You're in so deep that you forget to check your phone, you forget about the dishes, you lose track of time. I'm not talking about mindless scrolling. I'm talking about deep dive researching and curating of information that gives you the edge you need to produce better work, especially if your work is a content creator, an author, blogger, podcaster, and you're doing this research to produce something. When was the last time you felt the pull to geek out like that? This morning? Just now? Do you even recognize how much you're learning and growing and changing in the process of that research? It's in that time. You're not chasing purpose, you're studying it. That's you nerding out. Nerding out is one of the most important, most productive things you can do as a mompreneur, believe it or not. What I mean is it's something you shouldn't remove from your life or schedule. You should make time for it, carve it out. And I know for a mom, that's really hard to do when you're so busy. But rather than remove nerding out, optimize it. And in a minute, I'm going to give you some tips on how to use AI to cut your research time in half so you're really maximizing your time because it's that important, especially for a content creator. Because isn't discovering and exploring why you got into business to truly take on an issue and advance an industry and make an impact? So, in a way, part of your job is to keep your finger on the pulse of the marketplace as it relates to the message you want to share. And when you look at it that way, don't you want to be the biggest nerd in the room? I do. Being a nerd is one of the most underrated superpowers in business for so many reasons. When you nerd out on something, you don't need motivation to do it. You don't need somebody to remind you to show up. You're naturally inclined to do it. You end up doing it even if it's not on your schedule because it lights you up. Not only that, it's a way of you experimenting with this information and connecting dots that no one else sees because you're in love with the process, not just an outcome. See how abundant that energy is? Hi, I'm Yvette the Declutters, your less is more coach and business mentor. And I am the biggest nerd about mindset, business, and enlightenment. And I use what I know to help thousands of entrepreneurs and mompreneurs find their way and follow their bliss and do what only they are on earth to do. And what I found is that the background knowledge you gain from geeking out on a topic that inspires you and excites you makes you magnetic to those who want to learn from you. Because the world doesn't need another expert. It needs more people doing what they love to do. And as entrepreneur moms, we lose sight of that. We're constantly told to sacrifice and strategize and be productive. But no one tells you that the real magic comes from an unburdened mind, a mind free to be. When you go all in on learning your craft, mastering your interpretation of a concept or a theory, and exploring that one idea that keeps tugging at your soul, you become unstoppable because curiosity breeds confidence. When you get curious about your own potential, you stop waiting to feel ready. You start experimenting. You start sharing what you learn. You start stacking wins that add up to something massive. So stay curious. Don't pressure yourself to have it all figured out. It's a process. But get obsessed with learning for yourself about yourself and your interests and your hobbies and your rhythm and your message and your art the way only you can. One thought leads to another, and no one's thoughts are the same as yours. And for that reason, curiosity isn't a distraction, it's direction. It's your soul saying, this matters. Follow this thread. It's going to lead you to bigger and better. That's where $1 million ideas come from. Okay, I'm back. I had to do dinner, bath, bedtime. Where were we? How does nerding out change when you become a mom? I don't know about you, but I still designate a whole day to it, usually on a Tuesday. And I take time to bounce from resource to resource, book to book, podcast to podcast, video to video, and I leave myself that time to get absorbed into the content. The thing is I set a time limit. I actually use a timer on my phone, and I usually set it at 15, maybe 20 minutes, so that when it goes off, I'm alerted to, hey, should I switch gears? Has this been enough time? Am I down a rabbit hole? It's my doom scroll checkpoint. I can be so into something, but maybe not using my time efficiently. And I don't want the hours to just fly by without me incorporating other important money-making tasks into my day. I don't want to frivolously flit around the internet with no regard for my time, energy, or the money I'm leaving on the table by only looking at what other people are talking about. Because as devoted moms, we don't have much of any of those things. I can't let research dominate my day. But here's the perk of being a mom and doing your research. It may feel like your time shrinks, but your depth grows. Everything you do has a depth of perspective and a wider scope because now you're considering your legacy, building what will take care of your family one day. When you use that natural inclination to fuel your curiosity and you use AI as your co pilot, research can be even more fun, even more productive, and even more organized. AI can help you go deeper faster. I'll show you how I do it. One, start with your topic. Open a chat thread and let AI know what you're researching and what your initial thoughts are on it. I'm researching XYZ and I'm curious how this applies to my life. And you can ask chat to list out authors, headlines, books, articles on the subject for you to start with. You can use whatever tool you want. At this point in the research, I'm probably using Perplexity, ChatGPT, or Claude.ai. Step 2, take a deep dive from there and start to gather your notes. For me, I'm watching a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza and quantum theory videos. So I'm all on YouTube looking him up, reading books on the topic. And it's a topic I always come back to, like a little bit here and there until it clicks. So that's my rabbit hole. And AI can take these long videos, like an interview or a lecture or a 2-hour podcast, and summarize key ideas for me. And at this point, step 3, I can take all of my notes and ask AI or chat to give me a top level theory or an idea or a concept that kind of factors all this in. And I can riff back and forth on my ideas along with those ideas and see where I land. For this part, I like to use either Notebook LM or XMind, where I'm mind mapping my ideas. There's also napkin.ai, which is a good one. But by the time you watch this, those tools could be bought out by Google or Microsoft and the names could change. So just do a search on what the best tools are for your phase of research. Now we're ready for step 4. And this is the point where I'm outlining or drafting my YouTube script or a blog post or a newsletter or a keynote speech or a book. And remember, I'm using a timer during all this. So I'm alerted every 15-20 minutes to check what I'm doing so that the algorithm's not steering me in too many random different directions, like the other day when I was just watching Maggie Rogers videos and Tiny Desk concerts. So obviously you want to spend your precious time applying your findings and not just getting sidetracked like Alice in Wonderland. I do have a word of caution though, because if you're a notebook collector, you love learning, you love taking notes, and you've got a stack of notebooks on your shelf collecting dust, because truth is, it's TMI, too much information for any one brain or body or person to comprehend and apply all of that in one lifetime. You'll want to set up a system where you're not drowning in AI information. So I like to regularly purge my chats. So let's say it's for a YouTube script and I've already filmed and published it, then I can usually go in and delete that chat. Because I use a separate app called Scrivener to write all this stuff. So I really don't need ChatGPT to hold on to some of my research. I have all the notes that I need in Scrivener by project. Because for me, the chat threads get so convoluted. It's like we're going back and forth and it's great and it's bringing up great ideas, but it also is daunting to go back to and like read through that stuff to the point where I probably will never do it. And the good news is I don't need to save that chat for AI to continue to work with me and build on what it knows about me and remember all that we worked on so far. So that's my little hack. I use AI to nerd out with me so that I can find out more stuff in less time. It's kind of like speed reading. So have fun nerding out, come up with a system to keep you organized and productive, because as AI continues to infiltrate the interwebs and control other people's content, you as entrepreneur mom want to remember to trust your gut, create and not just consume, and care less about being perfect. Recognize the season you're in and the time you have at hand for research and cap it at that. Think about what you're nerding out on and how it serves the ultimate goal of business, to grow. There's burnout and then there's brilliance, which I think is a matter of perspective, systems, and checkpoints to make sure you're not overdoing it. Nerding out is fun, especially when there's some measure of coming back down to earth. And when you find a community to nerd out with, even better. That's what we need to make this business thing as a mom work. I'm eager to read the comments on this video, so tell me how you're using AI to stay organized and productive and do your research. And if you want more videos like this from me, let me know. Also, if you like the idea of simplifying things like business and productivity and AI, sign up for my newsletter and get the exclusive tips and tools I only share in email. And until the next video.